Well, hello. I'm Franz. This is Andy.
Hey, everybody.
It is January 2025. We are a quarter of the way into the century. And here we are talking about concrete CMS and all that goodness. So welcome to the new year. I hope you're all having a great one. We're doing very well here. And we'll jump right into it. Got a fair amount to actually get through today. So right off the bat, we did a 939 release just last week. You want to talk about what's in there, Andy?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a maintenance release, so nothing huge, but there are some nice things in there. Some of the major or ones that you might actually improve your quality of life are kind of one. In version 9, we introduced the ability to remove blocks from a page that had been orphaned via the use of, as you work on your theme and change areas or work with containers and layouts and delete them. And as pages evolve over time, there is, entropy exists and blocks will they'll get orphaned. So they no longer display on the front end, and that's perfectly fine. But they're still taking up space in the database. They still have to be retrieved when the page is rendered, and sometimes they even still inject their assets into the footer and header, even if they're not actually rendering on the front end. And so it's a good idea to prune that stuff over time. And in version 9, we introduced a feature where you could remove all the blocks that were not rendering on the front end of the page, or remove them selectively. And at some point, we made some tweaks to that to improve that, and broke it, or caused it to work in a less reliable manner. And so we have fixed that. That is something that you might see that will, improve your quality of life. And another one that I know has improved quality of life closer to home is any page or any of those search interfaces in the dashboard, like the file manager or the page search or the user search, things like that, express lists, all those, that sort of data grid view that we have in a lot of our CRUD interfaces in the dashboard. You can now option click or command click that, whether you're on Windows or Mac, and it will open in a new tab. And I know that this has improved people's lives across the globe, and it can improve yours today.
What else is going to happen?
Honestly, nothing else in the release really matters that much. There's some other good stuff. There's definitely some real improvements in there, but that one will actually start making your life better today. So 939, very small targeted release, but worth your time, especially if you're already on the 9.3 version of Concrete.
Nice. Yeah, that right-clicking to a new window is going to make a lot of people's lives a lot easier. It sounds silly in the abstract, but there are any number of times where you're like, oh, I just need to go through 20 of these records and change something, and the bulk tools aren't going to cover that. And boy, it's awfully nice to just click. And yeah, I'm stoked for that one personally. So thank you.
Nice. Yeah.
I'm going to do this a little bit out of order. I mean, that kind of segues to our discussions. We started talking about Concrete version 10. No official timeline. So don't ask. You'll get it when it's done. But I can tell you a little bit kind of strategically what we're thinking there. Really focusing on quality of life type stuff, like what you just talked about, closing out bugs and just kind of some of those weird edge cases where hey, this is a really cool idea. It's 90% there with that last 10%, just needs a little push. Dependency upgrades. So, making it behave with PHP 8 dot something. I think we're still debating which one we're going to be married to, but
yeah, that's still up in the air. But every time we do a major version, we do bump up the minimum requirements. So we can definitely say that it will be PHP 8 or 8 something. Thankfully, our transition to PHP 8, like many in the community, has been a little bumpy because of just the way they reclassify a lot of their errors. But thankfully in Concrete 9.4, which is coming sooner than version 10, still no timeline on that, but that's months, not years, or that's weeks, not months, probably. And that we are improving the error handling in. So going to version 9.4, you can be reasonably certain that you'll have a lot fewer hiccups going to PHP 8 as your minimum PHP version, even though we've already ironed out, we did things backwards. So we already ironed out most of the little piddly errors that PHP 8 shoved in our face, but not all add-ons have done that and things like that. So Concrete 9.4 will sweeten that transition. But yeah, you can, like Franz was saying, you can expect that Concrete version 10 will up the PHP minimum requirement to version 8 of some kind, and all the dependencies that work with that. And so with that, there is a possibility of some backward compatibility hiccups. Nothing about Concrete should make that difficult, but if your code or add-ons code rely on third-party libraries, that's always something you have to check. So it's always a process with a major version update, but we are not going to be introducing huge paradigm shifts on our own wherever we can help it with this. We're going to try and make this more of a sort of maintenance and quality of life improvement release rather than huge, big new feature release.
Yeah. With the notable exception,
that
said, one thing that does mean it's a major version, gives us the reason to call it 10, is we got to get rid of ckeditor. If you're not tracking on that drama, a private equity firm bought ckeditor. They also bought TinyMCE. And more power to them in trying to create some kind of market where the assumption is everything should be free. I can relate to that problem, but I can't really be part of that solution because I can't charge you all for just the basic editor in Concrete. And they seem really eager to have very goofy GPL2 custom bespoke licenses that just don't really jive with what we do. So right now we're using ckeditor version 4.something.lts, I think, in Concrete, because their new version 5 is completely rebuilt and full of all sorts of fancy whistles, and I'm sure a wonderful and powerful tool. And if I were building a SaaS product, I would probably look at just paying for it and enjoying not having to worry about it. But that's not what Concrete is. So we are exploring different ways to approach that. We've got some ideas. We're not going to commit to them today. There's a few different kind of approaches out there. We can, kind of look for something that we can just drop in there, much like ckeditor, and just, well, I guess it is what it is, and enjoy their interface. There seem to be a lot more just kind of like libraries for kind of dealing with editors as a headless stacking, kind of build your own UX around it. And, we'll see which way we go, but that is the one big thing that we know we're going to have to deal with in version 10. Philosophically, what we'll probably try to do is make it somewhat extendable, like look for a way that we can say, hey, this does the basic editing out of the box. If you want fancy bells and whistles, there are plugins you can get through some type of ecosystem to do more stuff. Everybody wants, generating content with AI in your editor and that kind of thing, and that's all cool. But it seems like there's no reason for us to reinvent that, and plenty of other people are doing it. We will probably also, as I'm saying, probably continue to ship with ckeditor under the hood for a bit, knowing that there are extensions that kind of use it in a hard-coded fashion. And I think our editor model today has an abstraction layer, or kind of the beginnings of an abstraction layer, but I'm not sure everybody's really honoring it that well. So we're gonna want to be thoughtful about not forking stuff that people have built that kind of relies on ckeditor being under the hood. But I don't know. Here we go. January news, version 10, mostly trying to clean up all sorts of bugs and whatnot. And then, of course, dealing with the ckeditor challenge. What I can tell you to help with that is we have gone through everything that is a bug in GitHub and made sure that it's properly classified with our labels. So there is a not small, but approachable list of known bugs there. some more egregious than others. And if you're wondering what our roadmap is, you could probably sort that bug list and kind of look at priorities and levels of difficulties and kind of some of the other descriptive labels that we use to see kind of, does this affect just editors and there's a workaround, or does this affect site visitors and there isn't a workaround? But, the latter is probably going to get done first. But there you go. That's the list. So if you have bugs that you have not reported, although it's hard to believe that might happen, but if that is the case, you should be reporting them. And if you want to help our little team plug along with Concrete, we sure could use help glazing out some of those bugs. Those are not always the most complicated things. Sometimes they just take a little bit of time and expertise in Concrete that surely we are not the only people who have. So we're always very appreciative of any community efforts on that, because version 10 is a nice big round number, and it'd be really great if we could just really close out all the bugs and just be like, hey, this thing does exactly what it says it does, and as graceful as a way as we can possibly imagine. So it might be one of those goals that you strive for, but you only get 90% of the way there. But still a laudable effort, well worthwhile in our view. Let's see. Last bit of news I have is we put the swag store back up. So can I share my screen? Let's see. Oh, I got to allow it. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's happening. Okay, maybe that's working. If you go to our marketplace landing page, you will see there's a link right here. And that will take you to our cool little bonfire store where you can buy some swag. So we had partners asking, hey, where do we get some Concrete stuff? And, paying to print a bunch of shirts and paying to ship them all over the world and doing all the fulfillment is a serious job, and one that I'm not really jumping up and down to do. So we are using this bonfire stuff. We don't really make any significant money out of this, but it is pretty cool that they will ship you nice stuff on demand. So
nice.
Feel free to get your Concrete stuff there. We'll continue to kind of tweak these products out and kind of have new stuff coming in there. Pay a little bit more attention to that and let that make sure that you get stuff in a timely fashion. So there you go. Okay. Let us move into the thank you section of our town hall. As mentioned with the bugs, this is an open source project. So, we're only here doing this after, what's it been? Over 15 years, because all of you have chosen to use Concrete to build important things. And, we're committed to making sure that that works well for you. And we know that you're committed to helping us make sure that it works for everybody, all lifting one another up. So we like to take a moment on our monthly town hall to do some shout outs for people who have kind of contributed something that we've noticed. So Andy, do you want to run down the list of names here?
Sure. Thank you to lemonbrain for contributing documentation. And in GitHub, we have a long list of people who have contributed issues and pull requests. That includes kzn-a, kzn-a, aashish-aenow, gutig, marcokuoni, hissy, tschuffi, BloodyIron, moriaiy, yeizac, mlocati, jbender0, ahukkanen, ccmEnlil, mjamil4it, JohntheFish, jgars186, mlocati, biplobice, shahroq, and marcokuoni. Thank you so much for being really active in GitHub. And like Ron said, you can expect that to continue, or this GitHub activity to continue on our end as we try our best to categorize blocks or bugs and work toward closing them and resolving these issues for version 10.
Nice. And then do we want to do a specific shout out here for improving update language UI UX?
Sure. So one thing that we thought might be kind of cool would be to kind of show off something that we accepted from the community as part of this process. And this happened last month. It came from mlocati and it went into the 9.4 branch. So you won't see it in 9.3.9 yet, but you'll see it as part of version 9.4 coming soon. And this is basically, he took this on unbidden. Mlocati has a lot of experience with the languages with working with multilingual and Concrete. And Concrete has a whole system under the hood for connecting to our translate server and downloading translations on the fly, as well as for the core, as well as for add-ons. And you can see here that in the first video, if you go to this issue yourself, you can see that if you, in version 9.3, if you click that install languages from the translate server, it just kind of hangs until it's done. It does a lot of stuff in the background. And then in 9.4, with his updates, you can see that it reacts much more quickly. And instead of just waiting with wondering if anything's happening, you get a nice real-time feedback of the translation checking that is happening. So a lot of this came from mlocati, just taking the initiative on that. It's a system that he feels strongly about. You know, the more systems we can have in Concrete, Concrete's a very complex and feature-full beast, and it's awesome when people can kind of own some of those systems. So that we don't and they can help keep those systems running really smoothly as we continue to make the core better. It really helps keep our system really nice. So thank you, mlocati, for adding this care and attention to the translation system, and you'll see it coming in 9.4.
Awesome. Yeah, we would not have the multilingual strength that we have without Michele. And Michele is running the translation, or translate.concretecms.com is like his baby. And, a lot of the real world, hey, cool approach, but that doesn't actually help, has come from mlocati. And, we would not be as flexible internationally as we are without his effort. All very much contributed in as a volunteer in the spirit of open source. So we deeply appreciate that. And, I think there's a lot of opportunity for others to step up and contribute the way that mlocati has as well. We all rely on Concrete for projects that make us money and are important to what we're doing. So it's really nice when, Andy can come into GitHub and see, not just a, hey, I found an issue, but hey, I found an issue and I figured a better way to do it. And if you just approve this code, we could all benefit. That is why we are open source. So we appreciate you, mlocati, and we're going to keep doing these shout outs every month. So a lot of opportunity for people who maybe rely on Concrete and have a little bit of free time. Fixing some of these bugs takes minutes, hours, not days. So there's a lot of us. It'd be really great if we had some help. So thank you.
Sweet.
Okie dokie. Now is the time where we check in with the very busy and prolific at this point PRB to see what has happened since we last saw them. So Jess, can you cue that up? Oh, here it comes.
Hello, I'm JohntheFish, and welcome to Bumper Marketplace News. Our first add-on this month is PHP Debug Bar by Macro Digital. A PHP Debug Bar places a bar at the bottom of your browser window, which you can then expand to show things like database queries and timings of the page just rendered. PHP Debug Bar is free in the marketplace. Now we have Portfolio by Matteo Montanari. Portfolio displays a grid gallery of images with many display options and lightbox overlay options. Portfolio is $35 in the marketplace. Now we have 2 free themes released to the marketplace by Macro Digital. We have Palette and we have Stucco. These themes were originally developed by Nipper and have been updated for version 9 compatibility by the Japanese Concrete community. That's all from me, so over to Justin.
Thank you, John, and good morning, everyone. I'm JP. I have 1 theme and 2 add-ons to share with you this morning, all by developer Fabian Bitter. Let's get into it. First up, we have Link Theme. Link Theme is a fully customizable modern theme designed for sharing links to all of your important content. Link theme includes 3 blocks for sharing links. A regular link block for sharing a link to a page, a file, or an external URL. And it includes a book and music block for authors and musicians to share links to their content on the major services. Link theme is $45 a year in the marketplace, and it is version 9 plus compatible. Next up is Simple Buttons. This package includes a dashboard page where you can completely customize the display of your Bootstrap buttons, and it includes a block where you can then display a single button or a group of buttons, each linking to an internal page, a file, or an external URL. Simple Buttons is $35 a year in the marketplace and is version 9 plus compatible. Lastly, in my list of introductions, we have Simple Cookie Banner. This GDPR compliant package provides a robust solution for all your cookie acceptance needs. With multiple categories to set up your cookies, your end users get the greatest control over which cookies they'd like to accept or decline. Use the Manage Cookie Settings block to allow your user to change their preferences on the fly. Simple Cookie Banner is $55 a year in the marketplace and is version 9 plus compatible. That's everything from me this month, everyone. Time to send you over to Noor for some more packages. Everyone take care.
Thank you, Justin, and hello, Concrete CMS community of lovely people. Our next package is Location Finder by Designvarying. This package lets you easily set a Google map on your website with a list of locations. Interesting features include the grouping of locations by custom tags, such as offices, stores, etc., the customization of icons and images to fit your theme, contact information for each location, and a search engine that can use the client's position to display locations within a specific radius. Location Finder is $45 in the marketplace. Now let's move on to Appointments by dWebmakers. That team has been sending us several well-rounded tools lately, and this one doesn't disappoint. This package lets you set up appointments for your business. The system allows for multiple experts and fields of expertise, so a clinic or a gym, for instance, would find it perfect for the day-to-day appointments management. Availability is easy to customize, and on the front end, making an appointment only takes a few clicks. Appointments is $60 in the marketplace. And finally, let's close with Parent Link by JB1, a set it and forget it type of tool that does one thing really well. Add one of those blocks to a page, and it will automatically link back to the parent page of the current page. Say you're reading a blog post, for instance, that button will link back to the main blog list page for easy access. Change a page name or URL, and the blog will update accordingly. And with several styling options, it aims for consistency across your website while still providing you with flexibility. And it is absolutely free in the marketplace. That's it for this month. Thank you, take care, and see you next time.
Well, thank you guys. Great work. That is a lot going on.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool.
Themes coming in. It's great to see work from Fabian and dWebmakers, both old concrete pros.
That's right.
Yeah, it's cool. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We are forging along through our agenda here. We have Behind the Blocks and a show and tell. So Behind the Blocks, we're going to take just a moment to talk about running a software shop and how we keep our little team doing everything that we do and serving big clients and managed community. One of the things that we do, never used to, kind of started to in the last few years as we've grown up a little bit, is over the new year, we revisit our process documentation and kind of clean out our, our closets, if you will. So old JIRA tickets that have been stuck on hold and are never going to happen. Probably should have told you this last month, but a great thing to do over the holiday break when you have some slow time. Like, hey, just if you're not going to do it, just close it. We also make a new Confluence area for our operations documentation and really take an opt-in, not opt-out approach to moving process artifacts over. What I have found is it's very I was going to say it's very easy, but nothing's very easy. It is tempting to like write a bunch of here's how we work and kind of system operating procedure type stuff in the heat of the moment, or kind of like with an idea as to how it should be. And then you don't really look at it, especially if you're not making a lot of new hires, you don't have a lot of turnover. There isn't really a lot, you kind of do stuff, and that documentation may or may not actually reflect what is actually happening. And so something that we have learned is that you should really it's easier to clean that stuff up by just moving the things that matter into a new place, because often it gets kind of meandering and there's lots of little bits. And so while I guess at the outside, it feels like, oh my goodness, I don't want to start from over. Like, really? I got to completely start over? No. You can copy and paste things over, but just taking the time to not try to pick out the things that are no longer accurate, but to really say, okay, in 2025, what are we doing? How do we do it? And let me just pull the documentation over and make sure that it actually applies to that stuff. Takes a little bit of effort, but I think it makes it a lot easier for especially new people. And we have auditors that come along and kind of cherry pick stuff off and say, hey, are you actually following this process, and that kind of thing. So pretty good idea. I've seen some systems. Here's a free add-on idea. A validate that this is still accurate tool is something that some intranets have built into it. I think it's a really solid idea, where like you could probably set the interval every 90 days, every 6 months, every year. Whoever created this page gets an email saying, hey, is this still accurate? You have to check this checkbox. And if you don't, we're going to hide the page. It sounds kind of brutal, but I think we've all been on that intranet where like, this is garbage, and there's just 1,000 pages of like completely out of date information. So end of the year or beginning of the year, I guess we're still pretty close. It's a great time to do that. All right. Last but not least, let's take a look at a concrete site that we found out in the wild. Oh, here we go. Jess is sharing this very pretty site that lemonbrain made.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it looks like it's for kind of retirees, like managing your pension, finding places to live, kind of the golden years of your life. And boy, it looks like a pleasant place to do it. There's some gorgeous photography, nice mega menu, very modern looking, sexy site, all built with concrete, and yeah, a good find. So thanks for choosing. Ooh, look at that. Look, and kind of filter things with this little slider. So yeah, thanks for choosing Concrete Lemonbrain. Great work as always. And yeah, appreciate the good design. Alrighty. That's what I know. We've got plenty of stuff to do. Again, love to see your help in GitHub. If you've got an extra couple of minutes, there's lots of bugs. They're all classified, so it should be easy to help, and we really appreciate it. You might get shout out next month. So that's it from us. Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys in February.